So to discuss about this, so what I'll do is I'll just come up with some example. Okay, so where my array type should be object type. Okay, so I will tell in some time what is an object. Okay, so let me make this new as small as this is a keyword. So I'm just creating an object array and initializing to a variable called O, and to represent that this O is a array type of variable, I'm just writing open and close square brackets 2 times to represent that this is multi-dimensional array variable. Okay, and this is again like I'll just write object. Okay, and here I'll just give like some size. Okay, 2 and then 2 or 3 2 whatever I want I can. Okay, let me give 2. Okay, so what does this mean is I wanted to create a new array with some size 2 by 2. That means 2 rows and 2 columns, right? So 2 values I should be able to store horizontally and 2 values vertically as well. So that's the reason I'm giving 2 by 2. If I make it 3 and 2, that means 3 rows and 2 columns. In that way, I can create an object array and initialize that object array to a variable called O of array, which is of type object. Okay, so what is this object? So like however we understood like we are remembering like string is a predefined class. In the same way, object is also a predefined class present in Java. Okay, so but the speciality we have with object type means if I declare any array as object type, then I can store any type of information. It can be an integer, character, double, boolean, float, long, short, byte, anything, or string also. I can store any type of information inside this array, right? So that is what the meaning of this object. Okay, now let me save this. So let's try to create a new array which is of type object array. So let me go to Eclipse back. Okay, so I'll just go to pom.arrays. So in this, I'll try to create a new class. Okay, so the name of the class is object array, or I'll just write multi-dimensional object array. Okay, I'm just giving some name. Okay, so let me select main method, click on finish. Right, so we should be able to see a new class created with whatever the name we have given. Yes, we can see. Now let me remove this comment and I will try to create a new object array with some size. Okay, the size I'm going to give as 2 by 2. Okay, so 2 by 2. So what happens if I do something like this, right? So a new array will be created. Let me show you how will that look like. Okay, okay, all right. So an object array will be something like this, and we know that the size is 2 by 2. That means 2 rows and 2 columns. I'm going to store it, right? Let's say this will be something like this. Okay, so this is just assume this is our array, right? So this object array I am going to initialize to some variable. So the name of the variable we have given in our program is object array with the 2 square brackets, because this is a 2-dimensional multi-dimensional array, right? And also in previous class we understood that even though it is an array, the values we can either store it or retrieve it with the help of index. So like however we have an index for single dimensional array, we have an index for multidimensional arrays also, right? So let me write index. Let's say this is 0th index. So this will be over here, right? This is 0th index and this is first index, and again horizontally also we will be having 0th index and first index. So let me mark it one here and this one also one here. Okay, so with this we should be able to either store the information into this array or retrieve the information from this array with the help of these two indexes, right? So one index is horizontal and another index is for vertical, right? So let's say if I wanted to extract a value from this particular box, right, then I will take horizontal, which is 0, and vertical, which is 1. So I'll just write O of 0 1 0 1 in the sense this particular box, right? In the same way, O of 1 0 means this particular location, 1 1 means this particular location, right? So that is how we we are going to either store the information or retrieve the information with the help of this arrays. Okay, so let me go back and I'll continue to create an object, okay, of array and variable called object. But okay, so with this an object array created with some size 2 by 2, something like this. But as of now we haven't initialized anything, okay, but let's check what is the value present by default. So we know what is the default values for integer, short, byte, long, double, for boolean and everything else, right? Even for string we know it is a null, but for object even we should know what is the default value. Let me try to print it. Okay, so what I can do is I'll just write system.out.println. I'll just write object array of 0 0. Okay, so 0th row, 0th column. That means it will extract a value from this particular place and it will try to print it. But as of now we haven't initialized any values, so there should be a null by default, right?
Mani,
Let's
we can't
see.
see anything on
Let
your
me
screen.
save it.
Mani, I think your screen is frozen. Okay, now it's back.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let me click on run now. So once I click on run, okay, why is this very slow? Okay. Yeah, we can see the output showing as null. That means even though it is an object type of data we are trying to store or the data type we have given as object type, so it is returning null. That means for object the default value is null. Okay, so but here I'm just trying to extract only this value, so 0 0. But let's say if I wanted to extract all the values, it's 0 0 0 1, something like that. So this is very slow. Give me a second. Yeah, okay. So if I wanted to extract all the values 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1, so then what we may have to do, as we know that we wanted to go and extract all the values present in the multi-dimensional array, right? So in that case, like yes, again like we can use for loop. Okay, so I'll just explain like how we can use for loop. But before that, what we will do is we'll try to add some data, some information into that object array, and then I will come up with a for loop how to extract all the rows and all the columns present in the array. Okay, so what I will do is I'll just try to initialize a value. I'll write object array with some value. Okay, let me use some string over here. I'll just write Selenium over here. and the index is 0 and then 0. So what happens? So Selenium will go and sit inside object array 0th row, 0th column, right? So 0th row, 0th column in this particular image is this one, right? So let me put Selenium over here, okay? And this is how it will be initialized. Okay, now in the same way, let me try to initialize the values for all other array locations also. Okay, so now we have done with 0 0, and let's try to do it for 0 1 1 0 1 1 and so on. Okay, let me go back here. So object array, I'll just like, so row number is still 0 and column number I'm going to increment it by 1. So I can just give some value, and that value let me give some number over here. Okay, see, it is accepting. So even though I'm trying to add a number into object array, yes, it's accepting. But in previous example, whenever we created an array type of integer, here it will accept only arrays. Okay, let's say instead of 50, if I make it some string called Selenium, see, it is not accepting. It says it cannot be converted. So type mismatch, cannot convert string to int. So it's not accepting because we cannot convert it. But in case of object, whatever the data type or the data we are going to give, yes, it is able to take it and store it. Okay, so with this we have completed first row. Okay, and in the same way we'll try to do it for second row. Okay, so to do it with second row, again I'm just writing object array 1 and then 0 1 0. Okay, I am initializing some value. Let me give some value called true, which is a boolean value. Yes, it is still accepting the true also, right? And in the same way, let me give some other data type here, okay, with some value. Let's say I'll just give some character called s. So s should go and store inside first row and first column. So with that we have completed assigning or initializing values to every cell in an array, right? So let me put these values into the diagram. Okay, right. So the next value is some number, right? So let me copy that number and put it over here. Okay, and then the next one, sorry. Okay, so the next one is boolean. So true is what we have initialized, and then the cap, yes is nothing but a character which we try to store into this object array, right? So that means that that's the specialty of this object array. So object array can store any type of information. Okay, so in this way we have taken string, we have taken number, we have taken boolean value, we have taken character, right? So in that same way we can try with all the data types and string, everything also we can try. Okay, so with this we have completed initialization. Okay, after initialization let's try to print. Okay, I'll just write some simple message here as after initialization. Okay, after initialization what I wanted to do is I wanted to print this something like this. Okay, so totally 4 I need 0 0 and 0 1 1 0 and then this is 1 1. So if we clearly look at that, what is that we are trying to print it? So we wanted to print 0th row 0th cell 0th column and 0th row first column, first row 0th column, first row first column. That means we wanted to increment row number, column number, row number, column number for each and every iteration. So instead of writing these many lines of code, what we can do is we can just write only once, but we will just pass two variables with two for loops. Okay, let us see how we can achieve it. Okay, so I'll just take one for loop. Okay, so I'll start as usually, like initialization int I is equal to 0. Okay, I less than, I'll just give some, so as I know like totally two rows and 2 columns. I'm just giving some number 2 and then I plus plus. Okay, I'm just taking one for loop to iterate through horizontal rows. Okay, and now inside this for loop I'll take one more for loop, okay, with one more variable, like int j is equal to 0. Okay, j less than 2 again, because we know that how many things we have it in the array. So I'm just writing j plus plus. Okay, so the first for loop is for number of rows, and the second for loop is for number of columns. Okay, number of columns in an array. Okay, now inside this I'll just write very simple statement, system.out.println object array of, I'll just pause I value over here and j value over here. That's it. With this, my complete problem is solved. I don't need to write this many 4 lines of code, only 1 line of code I can do it. Okay, let me comment this for now, and I will execute the above logic and will try to understand what is going to happen. Okay, so yeah, let me click on run now. Let me show you the output and then I will explain what is going to happen with this particular logic. Yes, it is completed executing. Yes, after initialization we are able to see that the value present in 00 is Selenium, and the value present in 01 is 23454, and the value present in 10 is true, value present in 11 is yes. So whatever the values we stored in our multi-dimensional array, the same values it is trying to extract it and print it on top of our console. Okay, so now let's try to understand how this is happening. Okay, how this is happening with simple single line of code. Okay, so yeah, let me take this. Yeah, okay, so first of all, control goes here. It starts with the external for loop. Okay, so external for loop, we are initializing I value as 0, right? At this moment I value is 0. Okay, I value is 0. So with I value 0, I'm just checking the condition I less than 2. That means 0 less than 2. Yes, condition is true. As 0 less than 2 condition is true, it goes inside of the external for loop. Okay, inside of the first for loop, and inside what is happening, again we are trying to create one more for loop with j variable j. So now j 0, right? So I'm going to set j equal to 0. Okay, so with j value, so 0 less than 2, yes, obviously 0 less than, sorry, okay, so 0 is less than 2, condition true. As this condition also satisfied, control goes inside of the internal for loop also, and then it will execute this line of code. So but what is this line of code? We are trying to print whatever the array present in ij. At this moment what is I value 0. At this moment what is j value is 0. So I0 j0. In this diagram what is 0 0, right? Let me go back to the diagram. So if I look at here, what is 0 0? So I is to iterate through all the rows, j is to iterate through all the columns. So 0 0, that means Selenium. So Selenium is the value it will extract and print it on top of the console. Yes, if I go back to console, yes, I can see the value Selenium printed already, right? In the same way, what I will do is I'll just try to okay, yeah, so after completing this, again what happens, it goes back to j plus plus, right? So previously j value is 0, now j value is going to become 1. Okay, so with incremented j value, again it will check this condition, j less than 2. Yes, 1 is less than 2. As 1 is less than 2, condition is correct, so it goes inside of the for loop again, and it will execute the same statement again, but with incremented j value, but still I is 0 only. See, I is still 0, but j only incremented, right? So j only incremented at this moment. Okay, so I0, J1. What is I0, J1? So if I go back to this again, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. So this value will be extracted and printed on top of our console, right? So that is how it's going to happen, right? And after completing this, again, it goes back to J++. So previously J value is 1. Now J value will become 2. Right, so now it has become 2. So with incremented value, again it is checking 2 less than 2. Is 2 less than 2? No, condition is not satisfied. Whenever is this particular condition is not satisfied, what happens? From here, again it will go back to the external for loop, right, which is I++. Now I value is going to be incremented, right? So now I value will become 1. Okay, so with incremented I value, again, it will check the condition. 1 less than 2. Yes, 1 is obviously less than 2. So it will go inside of the internal external for loop. Okay, so yeah, 1 less than 2, condition satisfied. It went inside, and inside again we have one more for loop, right? So again, J starts with 0 again, because with I0, J value completed iterating for all the boundaries it has. Now with again I value incrementing, again J should start with 0, it goes to 1, it goes to 2, and then stop it. So something like that, it has to keep looping again and again and again. Okay, now J is 0. So with incremented J value, 0 less than 2. Yes, 0 is less than 2. Right. So as 0 is less than 2, so condition is satisfied. So what happens? Control goes inside and it will print I1 J0. What is I1 J0? So if I go back to diagram, I1 J0, that means true. So true is the value which we have it in the diagram. So true will be printed, right? So true will be printed on the this one, right? After printing true, it again goes back over here, right? So okay, so it goes back again to J++. So previously J value is 0. Now as it is a J++, then that is going to become 1. So with incremented value, again it checks 1 less than 2. Yes, 1 is less than 2. Obviously this is condition satisfied. So what happens? It goes inside and it will print whatever the data present in I1 J1. Right, I1 J1 contains some value called capital S, so that value will be printed. After printing capital S, again it goes back to J++. So previously J value is 1 and now J value has become 2, something like this, right? So with incremented 2 value, we are just checking 2 less than 2. Is 2 less than 2? No, condition is not satisfied. So as condition is not satisfied, it will directly come out of this and it will goes back to the external for loop, and then J value will be incremented now. Okay, so sorry, I value will be incremented now. So I value will become 2. So previously I value is 1 and now it will become 2. So we are just checking 2 less than 2. Is 2 less than 2? No, condition is not satisfied. As soon as this condition is not satisfied, it will be directly coming out of the external for loop, right? So until it keeps satisfying, it may keep looping inside only again and again and again and again between internal and external. So whenever internal not satisfied, it goes back to external. Whenever external also not satisfied, then it will directly come out of the both of the loops. So in that way, what is that we are trying to do is we are trying to go to each and every element present in an array and we are trying to extract it and print it on top of our console, right? So here we are just seeing very simple example, extract and print, but going forward, when we use the actual use case, instead of printing, we will be storing it and we'll be trying to use it for our validations, right? Data validations whenever we do actual automation testing, right? So this is a simple use case. Any questions on this?